Good afternoon, and thanks for having us in. Millions of Americans are survivors of sexual violence or know a victim. Yet stigma still surrounds sex crimes, often making it difficult for survivors to talk about what happened to them. In the 80s and 90s, it was even less common for people to talk about rape or sexual assault. But a Sioux Falls woman, Dawn Ospas, was one of the first in the region to openly talk and be interviewed about being raped in 1989. In October of that year, she was raped and beaten for hours while her daughter was held at knife point in the next room. 33 years later, she's still using her voice in hopes that the world never falls silent to these crimes again.
I just want, first of all, victims out there to know that they have a voice. And that we're always there. Your church is there, they'll help you. But forgiveness, like I said, is important just for my soul. And I want victims who are survivors now to know that that's the first healing point, is forgiveness. Forgetting isn't an option.
Coming up tonight, our Lauren Solik looks back at what prompted Ospas's bravery. And for the first time since that horrific night, we're going to hear from her daughter, who was only 9 at the time of the crime. A Del Rapids man will spend 65 years in prison for first-degree rape of a child. A judge sentenced Craig Worm to prison time today after his daughter intervened in the case. Worm had originally agreed to a plea agreement with prosecutors, but the judge agreed to rescind the plea deal after hearing from the daughter. This morning, the judge sentenced Worm to 50 years for rape and another 15 years for sexual contact with a child. A Pennsylvania man caught in a sex trafficking operation during the 2020 Sturgis motorcycle rally is headed to federal prison. A judge has sentenced 32-year-old Cody Hopkins to 10 years behind bars for attempting to entice a minor using the internet. Hopkins thought he was meeting a 13-year-old girl near Rapid City High School for sex. The girl turned out to be an undercover agent, so law enforcement met him at the school and arrested him. The city of Sioux Falls is attempting to make your daily commute a whole lot smoother. A 5-man crew spent its Monday patching potholes in northern Sioux Falls. Street operations manager Dustin Hansen says up to 6 teams are working 10-hour days and are now using hot asphalt.
With the actual hot mix, it's got asphalt cement in it, and they actually heat up the rock before everything gets made. So everything is between 300 to 500 degrees. By the time it gets out here, it's more pliable, easy to work with, but then it hardens really fast.
If you find a pothole that needs attention, use the Sioux Falls One Link app or call the Pothole Hotline. Pleasant out there right now, a little windy. It looks to get warmer as the week goes on, right, Adam?
Yeah, absolutely. We got to kick off the month of May on a pretty pleasant note. A little windy, though, but that's the only bad thing, I suppose you could say, about how the month is starting off. We're doing pretty well for ourselves. And what better way to kick off the month of May than looking at snow, because that's just how I am. Here's Terry Peak, 51 degrees, a northeasterly wind at 4 miles per hour near lead. But yes, it's May. We're done with that. Let's actually take a look at a nice view, though. Fort Thompson has been looking pretty nice this afternoon. There's the view from our camera out that way. Beautiful blue skies. You can see the river out there in the distance. And from Fort Thompson, we'll head downtown, 56 with a view to the northeast. But it's a little windy outside. North winds at 22 miles per hour. So if you are going to be headed out, just keep that in mind. It's really the only blemish to an otherwise very nice day. 49 Watertown as well as in Brookings, 56. Again, here in Sioux Falls, 54 Huron and Aberdeen. Pierre, Mulbridge, both at 55, 54 Rapid City, Spearfish, and 52 in Custer, where they don't have much of a breeze out that way in Custer County. Can't say the same for the east, where it has been a little on the blustery side over the course of the morning and now into the afternoon. Sustained winds at 15 to 25 miles per hour out of the north. The good news is that wind does back off. The bad news, it's going to take a little while, but we'll get there. Gusts have been 30 to 40 miles per hour over the last hour or so, even a 45 mile per hour gust in Spencer. Now, satellite and radar looks like it's broken because the map is completely empty, but it is working, and we can prove that by zooming out a little bit. If you look over toward the Great Lakes, upper peninsula of Michigan, there is some rain and even some snow out that way, but that's going to be their problem to deal with for the rest of the afternoon. Closer to home, 50s, around 60, plenty of sunshine to go around as we take a look at southeastern KELOLAND. It is going to be windy, though, to the southeast and to the northeast as well. where we'll also see temperatures in the 50s, maybe near 60 toward Huron and Miller. Out west, we do a little bit better on the thermometer, low to mid 60s at times, like in Phillip and Rapid City, for example. Everybody, though, getting in on plentiful amounts of sunshine, not just today, but through at least the middle of the week. By the end of the week, however, things do start to change a little bit. We'll go into a little more detail on that coming up in your 7-day forecast.
Thank you, Adam. People on beaches along Florida's east coast are finding massive clumps of seaweed from a huge blob floating in from the Atlantic Ocean. Specialized tractors have been raking up the clumps of brown weeds that line these beaches, but by the time the sun rises again, they're usually back. This year, there was an estimated 13.5 million metric tons, which could reach beaches in the Caribbean and Florida over the next few months. Regulators seized California-based First Republic Bank and sold it to JP Chase. First Republic is the second largest bank failure in U.S. history. This raises concerns about the economy as a whole. Skylar Henry has details from Washington.
In the third bank failure of the year, First Republic Bank and all of its deposits have been seized by regulators and sold to JP Chase.
All the consumers who have accounts at First Republic can actually relax because you're just going to walk into your branch if you need some help. JP Morgan is going to make those transactions. Everything's kind of cool.
Rising interest rates devalued some of First Republic's loans and investments. Then depositors pulled more than $100 billion out of the bank over the first 3 months of this year.
But we've got to prevent this from happening again. And the best way to do it is to guarantee these deposits.
First Republic's collapse is expected to cost the FDIC about $13 billion. The recent bank failures and rising interest rates have forced other banks to make it tougher for people and businesses to get access to loans. The combination is leading some to believe that America is headed towards a recession.
It takes control out of the Fed. The Fed is no longer in total control of slowing down the economy. They've now got the banking industry playing along with them.
Interest rates could be hiked again this week when the Federal Reserve wraps up a 2-day meeting on Wednesday. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Washington.
JP Chase CEO Jamie Dimon told reporters this morning that he believes America's banking crisis is now over, but acknowledged that rising interest rates could add more stress.